I could not be more excited to get to introduce our guest for tonight. And he graciously chose to be here with us. He's actually traveling. He's in the corner in an airport somewhere. And I love leadership, but Mark, in my opinion, isn't just somebody that talks the talk. He walks the walk, and he is full of wisdom. Mark is one of the, and take this the right way, Mark is one of the wisest people that I know in this industry, because he's taken many years on the corporate side, but he also, in my opinion, he understands the field as good or better than anybody that I've ever seen in this industry. And so, Mark, I'm just going to turn it to you, but you guys, this is going to be a 3-part series. So Mark's going to be with us tonight, and then next week we're going to expand on what we start this week, and then he's going to be back in a couple of weeks to complete this. So again, something to write on. And the title of this is Creating Your Dream Life. So Mark Wilson, thank you so much, sir. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Everything good?
You bet.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to go through some things tonight. You're going to want to take some notes. So my first thing is, I want you to think about, in your life, have you ever met people who you think they are so lucky? They have a lifestyle I wish they had, or they seem to accomplish everything. Everything seems to be easy for them. Well, I know I did myself. And it used to always frustrate me. I'm always thinking, wow, I wish I was that lucky. I wish I had that home. I wish I had that lifestyle or travel or whatever it was. And over the years, I put together some pieces. So tonight, what I'm going to do is give you some homework. And I'm going to share with you 4 main topics that I'm going to give you some homework on. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to follow up. Now, I'm going to make a commitment to you. After we follow up in 2 weeks, some of you will even want to take it a little further, and I'm willing to do that as well. All right? Because what I've learned with this is the most important thing is to share. When you have a gift, you want to share it. And these are pieces that I put together of a puzzle. So years ago, and I don't know how many of us have ever been here, but I was always told you got to write your goals down, whether it be at work, whether it be at church, whether it be in family. It was, let's write our goals this year. And it seemed like I was writing goals down to try and impress other people rather than anything that was really meaningful to help me in my life often. Not always, but a lot of times. And then I never accomplished my goals. I never really got engaged. I never really got excited about the goals because I realized they weren't as meaningful as they needed to be. So I want to take you through some steps and back up. Before you write goals, the goal setting should be the last thing you do. All right. The very last thing. So let's start. The very first thing that I realized was when I saw individuals, I thought, wow, they've got a lifestyle. I just wish we could have that. And I came from very, I wouldn't say poverty. We were average American income. My dad was in the military. Mom was a farm girl. We lived on the farm. If I wanted something, I had to go to work for it. I remember I wanted a pair of leather Adidas when I was in high school. My mom's like, no, you get Keds from Kmart, right? That's what you get. If you want anything else, you got to buy it. And I remember back then having to earn $50 to buy my pair of Adidas. Now probably cost you $150, but back then, and I'm an old guy, right? It was something that I just wanted so bad, and a new pair of skis, whatever it was. And I learned some valuable lessons of go to work, right? And earn what you want. And then it always had a lot of meaning to it. So I think my parents were wise in that as well, but we just didn't have a lot either. And I hung around a lot of people who seemed to have this dream lifestyle. I had one friend that his dad owned airplanes. He had multiple homes. He had hotels. They drove new Corvettes all the time and sports cars and motorcycles and probably where I got some of my passion. But I always thought, wow, they are so lucky. What I didn't realize is some of the fundamentals I needed to shift in my life over time to put me into a situation where I could win. So the very first thing before you set your goals is when you create your dream life, step number 1, homework assignment number 1 is I want you to write down your 5-year dream life story. It should be like this. In 5 years from now, and I would even say in the year 2027, February 2027, Mark and Tracy Wilson, for example, will be living the following dream life. And I want it to be so descriptive that when you're telling this story or reading this to someone, they can actually visualize what your life's like. So if that makes sense, don't just write down. And if you're struggling with this, because I'm limited on time today, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, the first step is on this one is if you're struggling to write it out, and a lot of people struggle with this. A lot of people struggle with this because now they're worried about, well, what if somebody sees it? What if, they're going to judge me because of this? Or I don't know if I dare dream because I've failed so many times in my life. And I've heard it all. Okay. Number one step is, if you're struggling with this, write down some bullet points. Write down, I'd like to be in great shape. I'd like to travel the world. I'd like to have a home and describe it a little bit. I'd like to have the following job. I'd like to have the following income. Write down some bullet points. And then from that, use those bullet points to write out your dream life story. Now, one recommendation I would give you is if you're married or you have a significant other, you might want to do this together so you share in the life so that one story doesn't end up completely different than the other. But I'll leave that up to you to decide that. For my wife and I, we do this as a together, and we write out our bullet points and then we write our dream life together. All right. The key to this is when you're finished, you could read this to me and I could visualize, I could close my eyes and I could see the home, the descriptive nature of where you're living, the experiences when you wake up every morning, some of the experiences you're doing, what your life would be like in 5 years from now. Okay. The reason I've chosen 5 years is this was recommended to me because I think most people have a hard time going too far out. And in 5 year chunks, it seems like you can hit 5 years and then you can retool and you can retool. So if you would just humor me and do 5 year dream life. And after I learned this, it gave me some clarity because now I had a basis from which to start of all the other pieces that are going to come in. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute. All right. So if there's any questions at any time, go in and put those in the comments. I'll try and see it. And if I miss it, I've asked Aaron to stop me and we'll get some clarification because I want you to understand this. So step number one, you're all going to write your 5 year dream life. Get some quiet time, sit down and dream a little big. My advice to you would be dream big enough that it's scary, that it's a little scary on where you're going. Okay. Dream, put it out there enough that you're a little worried about, I don't know if I can hit this. If you make it too easy, you're not going to fulfill your potential, quite frankly. If you go too far and I say, well, Mark Wilson in 5 years is going to be playing for the NBA and I'm not even realistic, then okay, I'm setting myself up for failure. But there's a delicate balance in between there of really pushing this to your limit in the 5 years. All right. And I would rather fall just a little short of really pushing it than I would having a layup, so to speak. So that's step number one. All right. We got it. Okay. Step number two. This is something I was taught 35 years ago. Craziest thing. And this is a piece that I had and I've had for a long time. I never knew what to do with it until the last probably 15 years or so. And that was, I was asked to make a master dream list. I remember sitting in a communications class in college and my instructor sit down with us, our professor, and he said, I want you to write down your 5 year dream or your master dream list. I want you to write down all the crazy things you've ever dreamed about doing, what you're doing, experiences, etc. And I started writing a few things and he came by and looked over my shoulder and he said, Mark, really? That is all you dream about in your life before you die? You're telling me these few things? So he said, and plus go a little crazy. I'm writing down, yeah, I'm a redneck, right? So I want a new pickup truck. I want to be able to, go here and do a few things. He's like, no. You got to dream big. And we had to turn it in for a grade, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to show you. So I start writing things down like, I'm going to go to Australia. I'm going to ski the Alps. I'm going to visit Africa. I'm going to do, and I started writing all these crazy things, Panama Canal. So I made 3 pages of lists, okay, of master dream lists, everything from simple physical experiences I wanted to have, hobbies I wanted to pick up on, little experiences, of different things I wanted with my family or my wife, with my children, different things in there. And then he said, okay, we turned it in, he gave it back to us. And then during the semester, he said, every few days, you got to add to the list, and then you had to turn it back in. So he was teaching us a habit of this master dream list was ever evolving. And it will continue to evolve the rest of your life if you do this right. I have started this years ago, and I continue to add to it at least every other week, if not more often. So every time something pops in my head, I add something new. And they're getting a little more outrageous because as you accomplish things in your life, you start to realize, boy, just about anything's possible, right? And that's where it gets fun. That's where you really start to have fun with this. But for right now, get as crazy as you can. And I want you to make a master dream list. I don't want you to worry about how you're going to accomplish it. Remember, I'm a farm boy. Okay. My wife and I, when we were first married, the first year, honest to goodness, the government sent back all of our taxes and said, you qualified for poverty. Now we were going to school and poor, living in an apartment I was managing. I mean, okay, we didn't have a lot, right? And so for me to dream big and think about going to Australia or learning how to scuba dive or visiting the Petra, doing these crazy things like the pyramids of Egypt or the Panama Canal, it was so far-fetched for me. I didn't even dream a Utah boy would be skiing in Switzerland someday, or, these other experiences that you'd thought about. And so I put everything down, all kinds of crazy stuff. And yes, I put down some fun things like I'm going to have a new pickup truck and I'm going to do these things, those as well. But I added to this list. I'll get back to this in just a minute. So that's homework assignment number 2. And I don't want you to worry too much about that. Just go crazy. Okay. The third thing I'm going to give you a homework assignment on, and that is you're going to write down 8 aspects of your life that are key evaluation aspects in your life that you would hold most dear and important to you in what I call the balanced wheel of life. All right. So let me give you an example. I'm going to give you 6 or 7 of them, and I want you to add some of your own. All right. So one aspect in your life might be family. All right. Another aspect might be career or education. Another aspect in mine is spiritual. All right. Another aspect in mine is community, giving back to the community and charity. Another aspect of mine would be my family. All right. Oh, I said family. Romance would be another one for me. All right. A 6th aspect for me would be fun and adventure. All right. So now you see what I'm getting at. If you're struggling with this, I've given you 6. I'd ask you, these are key elements in your life that you would say, I need to evaluate myself if I'm to have balance in my life. And what I'm getting at here, and I was taught this by a gentleman who it changed my world and helped me put all this together. And he called it the balanced wheel of life. The next step is you're going to make a pizza. You're going to make a giant circle. You're going to cut it in 8 pieces. And then you're going to start in the very center and you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is the outside of the circle. You're going to make those inner circles. And then what you're going to do is each of those slices of pizza is going to be one aspect we just listed of these 8 things. When you're done with your 8 things, you're going to evaluate yourself from 0 to 10 on how well you're doing in that aspect of life. The reason we're getting at this is this visual will help you see how balanced is your wheel. Or do you have a flat tire? Or do you actually, worse, do you have an inversion in the tire somewhere, an indent, right? I've had a lot of indents in my life too on this. So the example might be this. Number 1, family. Oh, not doing too good because I'm focused on other things. So I'd give myself a low score on my family, but my spiritual, I think I'm doing really well on. Or my romance is struggling or whatever. So you're going through these aspects of community, career, education, right? How well I'm doing in that aspect of my life. Maybe the aspect that's struggling right now is health. Okay. I didn't give you health, but health's another one that's absolutely important in my opinion. And the reason is I see so many people who are goal focused, who are driven alphas that do incredible things in their life, but don't have balance. I want you to think about that in your life of people you know. Some of my heroes, some of the people that I have great admiration for, were not balanced in their life. And what I mean by that is they spent all their time on career or in the financial side, and they didn't spend enough time on their family or spiritual, and they were lacking in those areas. Okay. And spiritual can be to whatever you are. Spiritual to me might be very different to spiritual to you in your faith or your exercise. I find most people have some aspect in spiritual that they can engage in. Same with family. If family is ignored or not taken care of, or community and charity is not taken care of, there is not a balance in your life. And I promise you, if you want to achieve great things, you need balance in your life. When balance comes, progress will be exponentially growing. I promise you this. Some of the most, and hear me on this one, if you don't hear anything else, when you're out of balance, it will inhibit your ability in other aspects. You'll think you can grow in those areas, but it's always going to hold you back from reaching your true potential. And there are some breakthroughs that will occur when you look at this. Now, the reason I want you to do these three things before anything else is now you have the groundwork. You have your 5-year dream life story. And it is amazing. And you're going to read it. You're going to get excited about it. In fact, you're going to read it so many times that you're going to memorize it. That's what I do. And after I've got it memorized every morning when I wake up, it's one of the first things I think about is my 5-year dream life. Why? Because it centers me on what I need to be working on. You have your master dream list, and I'll get to that in just a minute of when you use that and how you use that. Then you have your balance wheel. And by creating your balance wheel, you're going to see where your areas of weakness are, where you're probably going to have to put a little more effort in this year. Okay. Now, when you have those three things, the fourth piece of homework I'm going to give you is now it's time to set your goals. All right. And the reason you don't start with your goals is your goals are just the stepping stones. They are the direction to get you to your 5-year dream list. Does that make sense? And I want you to break down that 5-year dream life into 5 chunks, 20% a year. Now, this is what was the breakthrough for me, because suddenly I realized I shouldn't have anything on my goal list that doesn't pertain to my 5-year dream life or something on my master dream list that I want to accomplish, and my aspects of my 8 areas that are most important to me. My goals personally are broken out, as you will guess, in 8 areas. Imagine that. The 8 areas you listed that are most important in your life, I usually set 3 to maybe 4 goals maximum in each areas. Some years I only have 2 goals in that area. So it might be career education. I need to read a book on my career aspect. I need to increase my income and by X. I need to do more prospecting. You're going to put very specific measurable goals in your goal list so that you can do that. It might be, if it's a spiritual thing, we're going to pray more often daily. I'm going to attend church. I'm going to meditate, whatever it is. I'm going to read a book on this, or I'm going to go to, classes, whatever it may be. I'm going to give back to my community. So now, do you see what I'm saying? So you're putting some very specific deliverables. Here is one of the most important keys in this whole aspect. It is not intended for your goals to achieve your 5-year dream life in year 1. All right. Now, certain aspects may be accomplished, but what I would rather have you do, if you said, I was coaching a guy one time years ago, young kid, and he wanted to be really big in real estate. So his first year was, I need to get my real estate school done. That was his first step, right? And so that year, that was his accomplishment. By doing that and by studying and doing these things, it wasn't to be a real estate guru in 5 years and own all these properties he wanted to own. Year 2, it was, now that I've graduated, I'm going to make my mark by selling X number of homes. Year 3 was, I'm going to add my apartments and start building my real estate empire that I wanted to build. Year 4 was to add to that. Year 5 was, I want to own my own home by doing the following. Does that make sense? So it's getting there step by step by step and celebrating each year as you're accomplishing it. Now, the reality is, and we'll talk about this more, sometimes you don't hit all your goals even though you focus on them, and you may have to reset those the next year and the next year. And the key is that you're making these steps along the way. and that every goal you have, I have to emphasize this, goes back to my 5-year dream life. If it's not pulling me towards my 5-year dream life, you should not have it. It was not a mistake or by luck that the Wilsons built their big dream home in Wellsville, Utah, in the mountains on 126 acres. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't luck. We visualized it. We dreamt it. We wrote goals. We wrote goals of a 5-year, then another 5-year, and then we saw it, and then the day happened, okay? The funny thing is, once you're there, you go, wow, how lucky am I? And then you learn the game. We can reset this over and over and over. So no matter how successful you already are or feel like you're not, now it gives you the freedom to start setting these goals and looking at these aspects. So that's the 4 pieces of homework I'm going to give you. Now, I guess, Aaron, if you want to open it up, if there's some questions or something like that, I'd be happy to answer some of these questions, because in 2 weeks, I want to follow up with you on how to kind of tweak these a little bit and get the most out of what we're asking you to do.
Absolutely. So Jeannie Herman, I know that you had a question. If you want, you can go ahead and unmute and ask.
Yeah. So, hi, Mark. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Great. So your master dream list and your 5-year dream life story, how do you compare? Because the majority of things in my dream list seems like it would be in my dream life story. So how do you
Great question. Yeah. A master dream list should be wild, crazy, anything you can dream of. A 5-year dream life should be, in 5 years, I'm going to be living in the following home. These are the experiences. I'm going to travel often. I'm going to be enjoying a healthy lifestyle. We're going to wake up every morning and go, okay, you're writing your 5-year, what your life's going to be like in 5 years. A master dream list is unfettered. It is, okay, I'm going to give you one of mine. I want to travel into space. I want to donate $1 million to charity. I'm going to build a kids' school for, education. I'm going to travel to Australia. I'm going to learn how to scuba dive. I'm going to learn how to golf par. All right. I'm going to learn how to play tennis, and be an above average tennis player. I'm going to bowl a perfect 300. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to stand on the top of the Alps. Do you get me on experiences?
Yes.
And so it's just wild and crazy. And you don't even care how you're going to get those master dream lists. Okay. The final piece I really didn't talk too much about on the master dream list is usually right before I set my goals, or after I've set my goals, I go back and look at my master dream list and say, what are some things potentially I want to check off this year? All right. So for example, I had visit the Panama Canal for probably 20 years on my master dream list. Okay. You ever see the movie, The Bucket List, that they were talking about before they, okay. It's kind of this concept, but go crazy with it. Right. Okay. So I had this visit the Panama Canal. My family and I were planning on a cruise, which happened to be one of my goals to spend family time. We decided we were going to go on a cruise that year. Guess what? I'm on Royal Caribbean. I see a cruise that goes out of Panama and goes through South America. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I can achieve one of my master dream lists. We're going to go have a great time as a family. It's one of my goals this year, and we're living the dream. And we all went to the Panama Canal. Okay. Why? Because I just had it on my master dream list. My wife and I one time had an opportunity. It had been on there for 10, 15 years to go visit the butterflies in Mexico. If you've never done that, you should add that to your master dream list. Visiting the butterflies in Morelia is one of the most amazing experiences. If you've ever seen billions of monarch butterflies all gathered together in the mountains, it's the most spectacular thing ever. Go look it up online. These are the kind of experiences. I had that on my list. Well, guess what? I happened to be talking to Luz Evangelista, one of our leaders, and she was saying to me, hey, when you come out, we ought to go travel. And I said, how far away are you from Morelia? She goes, oh, it's a 4-hour drive. And I said, oh my goodness, we're going to come visit you. So we made it one of our couple trips, and, keeping that romance going with another couple. We traveled up into the butterflies, spent several days up there. It was amazing. Okay. Now I was able to tie that into some other things, but it's amazing. There were times where I didn't know how I was going to get to Australia. The first time I got to Australia was I was working for USANA, and they said, Mark, we're sending you to Australia to go help set up the call center. I'm like, oh my goodness, this was been on my master dream list for years. And here I am sitting in Australia. Okay. So sometimes you won't even know how it happens. It's just going to happen. It's going to manifest itself. I know we've seen that thing, The Secret, and sometimes people go, oh, I don't know about that. But by manifesting this and putting it out there, it is amazing how often things will start to accomplish and start to come to fruition. It is amazing to me. Okay. Does that help you?
Love it.
Yes,
love
it did. Thank you very much.
So,
Yeah.
Kathy Roberts, I know that you've got a question. Would you like to unmute and share?
Okay, I have a question, Mark. Like I often write my goals, but I like this way of doing it. But does it make a difference how old you are? Because what I'm thinking is I'm not 25, but
Nope.
I have big goals for my age.
Doesn't matter. That's one of the biggest fallacies. People think they're too old to set these goals. My dad was 75. My mom had passed away. He'd been a caregiver to her, and he sat down with us. We do this as a family, by the way, and I'll talk about this more, in 2 weeks, but we hold each other accountable each year, and we report on the goals and how well we did and how well we're going. My dad sat down with us the first time and said, I don't know what you're doing. I'm too old. I'm 75 years old. And I said, wait, you can't be too old. So literally it took me a couple hours, but I sat down with him and he's like, I've always wanted to learn how to play the harmonica. So we went and got him a harmonica. That was one of his goals. It was silly, but it was his deal, right? He started hiking and getting in shape. And by the end of that year, he hiked clear to the top of the mountain with us. And even my sister couldn't keep up with him, all right? Because he set a health goal, right? As far as physical. And we helped him set some goals. And suddenly I saw my dad at 75 years old living life like he never had dreamed before. He wanted to go to Scotland, back where our family heritage was. So we planned a family trip to Scotland, right? And he didn't know how he was going to get there, but he started to dream again and start putting those things. You are, as long as you're breathing, you are never too old to start this. Okay.
Okay, and I'm pretty healthy.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Josh Kemp. I know, Josh, you got a question too, if you want to unmute.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Great. We lose you?
Sorry, somebody muted me again. Mark, really quickly, you mentioned balance as being a key component, and when you're out of balance, it inhibits your ability to hit your goals and stay on track. What is your best suggestion to stay focused and have that focused intention all the time? Because in this world, it's extremely easy for us to get distracted. Heck, look at your phone for 5 minutes and you're off on a whole new tangent. So what are some suggestions you had around that?
The best thing for me, that was the secret for me personally of the balanced will. Because when I evaluated myself and I said, my family's a 3 right now because I'm ignoring them for business and career. And there are times in your career or education where you do have to sacrifice time away. But if you're out of balance for long periods of time, you're going to start to see it becomes habitual. And now you're going to you're going to damage that part of your life. And so by me doing my own self-evaluation, I started to realize, what? I need to carve out more time for family. I need to create more environments where I can do that. A lot of people look at us and go, you guys are crazy. You do all these things together. Well, part of the reason I snow bike or motorcycle is not that I'm necessarily really passionate about dirt bikes, is my whole family got into it. Before that, we were into Jeeps, right? But the whole family wanted to do this. And when they went from mountain bikes to dirt bikes, it was my wife and I said, well, I guess we're going to get into dirt bikes. Why? Because we wanted to make sure we were emphasizing the family time and the things that we were doing with them. And then it did get contagious. It got fun, right? And the memories we've created as a family are incredible. It's why we have a houseboat down in Lake Powell. It's one of my family's favorite things to do. So we not only create the experiences, and then the fun thing is part of my goals now are to help other people experience things they've never experienced. So you can imagine when I take somebody who's not dreaming, not living their life, and they go down on a houseboat and they go, holy smokes, okay, this is something I can't even imagine, right? But it was the same way I was 20 years ago. If you'd have put me on a boat like that, I'd looked at you and went, there is no way. They are so lucky, right? And because I didn't understand the principles. But over time, that balance is so important. So just look at it and evaluate yourself. And you don't have to remember, you don't have to correct it overnight. That's why we set goals, is to continue to make those improvements and say, I don't have to become a spiritual giant tomorrow. I just have to have some aspects to get me 20% of the way there on my 5-year dream life. Everybody wants to instantly change everything. And where we blow up, our little brains can't handle it. We blow up because we want to become perfect overnight. We're an instant society. What I've found is if you take this in bits and pieces and say, I'm not trying to become a spiritual giant, for example, in 1 year. I'm going to take this step and I'm going to get 20% of the way there. And then the next year, I'm going to get better. And the next year. And by 5 years, I'm going to be much more in tune spiritually, for example, than I was 5 years ago. And I'll talk about this again. Journaling is another one you can make a little side note on, because as you journal and reflect back, and there's some aspects to help you with this, you'll go back and look, and people don't even realize that the improvements they've made. I didn't either. And there are some key things that you'll have happen, right? You'll go from being crazy to lucky and all the things I talk about, but these are aspects that are just little principles to help you with that.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Hey, Judy Kerr, I know you just asked a question. Go ahead if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hey, Mark. First, thanks for sharing with us and giving us your time. Just on those 8 aspects, I mean, obviously, part of what's going to help us make these goals is because we're involved in New Age. So when you're figuring out your 8 aspects in your will, is business a segment, or is that just a given that somewhere in there? I mean, obviously you're working your business to get you towards the goals.
Career/education is what I use. You can
Okay.
separate the two out if you want, but I've always put career/education, because usually education should lead me to my career or enhance my career. So I usually put
Makes
those
sense.
together, but you don't have to. And career to me is your New Age business. It may be 2 things. It may be your New Age business plus your full-time job if you have something you're passionate about. But then I'm going to challenge you over time to say, I hope that in 5 years or 10 years from now, you're going to look and say, I better love my job or I shouldn't be doing it anymore, because I want to be passionate about what I'm doing, right?
Right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Mark, this is so great. There's so many great comments. I've got a question for you.
Sure.
Looking back and when you started, and I know you've alluded to some of the different things, would you be willing to share some of those like the boat, right? Like, let's face it, having a boat that size. I mean, that's one of those like crazy, almost like unattainable, kind of like going to the moon. Uh-oh, is that me that froze?
You're good.
Okay. Let's see if he'll come back to us here in a minute. Guys, if you do have a question, and hopefully Mark, we don't lose Mark, but if we do, we'll keep going. But if you do have a question, type it in the chat, and maybe he'll try to join us again here in just a second. So moderators, if you can look at. But guys, I'd love to see if you guys are getting value out of this. Type, and here's a chance for everyone to participate, right? If you're somebody like me that I didn't even know how to put something in the chat, this is a time to say, hey, Stella, just put something in there. Hey, I'm getting something out of this. I already knew this. This is good. This is valuable, right? This is the time for us to take action, and don't type in there something what you think is going to impress everybody else. Type something in there that comes to your mind. That's you. Does that make sense? And again, I don't know if he might have lost his battery.
He says it's reconnecting. He's trying to get back in.
Yep. Love this. Very thoughtful. Yes, helpful. This is great. Very valuable. Man, lots of great stuff. Road to success. Wow. Dream big. Wow. That's what I'm talking about. This is good stuff. And again, for those of you that have never been on MasterClass, you guys, this is what we do, right? It's not just, here's Mark, somebody, Adam, please. It's not just one person speaking. It's all of us interacting and growing together. And that's why it's just such a fun time to be a part of this. And let me see here. I got to find Mark. I'm multitasking here in a minute, you guys. Keep those chats rolling. All right. Now I gotta find them. Mark, you might have to just unmute yourself if you made it back.
I don't think he made it back, Aaron.
Oh, he was there. I let him in, and then I don't know if he came back or not. Amy Summers, are you getting anything out of this?
Heck, yes, I am. I have never done anything like this before, Aaron Decker. And I am so excited to do this. Truly, I am. I'm going to go create. I'm going to go write this down. I'm excited. Truly, I'm excited to do it.
Get more involved in my photography class. Came on late. What are the 8 sections, please? Maybe somebody can put that in there for Sharon. She came in late. What are the 8 sections?
Hey, Aaron, this is Judy. And what
Yep.
I'm sitting here thinking too is most people of Mark's caliber, you would have to pay thousands of dollars to get on a one-on-one training with him. And here we sit and he's taking time out of his obviously busy schedule and we're being mentored by millionaires. So love it.
That's a
Great
great
company.
point. That is such a great point, Judy. I mean, truly, you guys. I mean, Mark had all good intentions of being at home and doing this, and just business duty calls, and he had to make a flight, but yet is willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that he follows through on what he said. And I believe there's a lesson in that for all of us, just that one aspect, right? Like I've got pages of stuff, but how many times, let's just apply this to our business just for a minute, and then we'll see if he gets back on. But how many times in our own businesses do we make excuses and don't even follow through on the things that we tell ourselves that we're going to do, let alone that we tell somebody else we're going to do? Has anybody ever been guilty of saying you're going to do something today as it pertains to your business, and you let yourself off the hook and you don't even follow through? Anybody ever do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have.
And I think that would be all of us if we're honest with ourselves. Somebody like Mark's trying to jump on here. Amy or Ginger, yell at me if you see that it goes
He's
through.
joining.
But you guys, the more honest that we can be with ourselves, but also the more that we can learn by people that are truly leading, right? That's one of the things I love about Mark Wilson is from the first time that I met him almost 10 years ago. And it's the same thing. I mean, you guys, they had 5 vitamins and Slenderize. They were in 11 countries. That year they did $32 million. They told us, they wrote out what their plan was, what they were going to do. Right. So this isn't something that Mark just made up. It's what they did with the company. And look at, here we are, $500 million. They exceeded even what they told us that they were going to do in the time frame that they told us. And I believe it's because of the principles that he's lived by and the things that he's teaching us. Was he able to connect?
It doesn't look like it. I've let him in a couple of times, but
Okay.
I don't think he's able to get through.
Well, we'll let him attempt one more time. We're almost out of time. Guys, if you want, does anybody have a specific question? You can type it in the chat or something that you want to share, just as it pertains to the topic, not getting off track. That's good, Ronnie. You're never alone. Pick a business partner. I love that. Here's Mark. Let's try it one more time. Everybody, positive thoughts that this is the 4th time's the charm. Ronnie's doing the waving of the hands or something crazy over there, Ronnie. Or maybe Ronnie's laying hands on the computer so it can connect, right, Ronnie? Love it. Well, I will tell you this, next Wednesday, we're going to continue this. And then the following Wednesday, Mark is going to be back and we're going to do some deeper dive. And then we'll schedule something from that out a few weeks, even after that, we'll come back for those of you that really want to take it to the next level. So he's just struggling connecting. I'm just going to do this. Who here has something they'd like to share? You know what I want to do this? Jeff and Katrina Bean, would you unmute for a minute? Because I saw that you put something in there. I just love that idea. I'd like you to just share with it. Just a minute.
I did just post a link to a free PDF. Is that what you're talking about?
No, before that, you said that
Oh,
you've
okay.
written
Yeah.
out- you've
Actually, I
written
got to
out-
give kudos to John and Antoinette Ramsey for some coaching stuff we've been doing, and they had us do that 5-year, or it's a longer term visualization, and actually to make it audible. So we went ahead and wrote ours, Katrina and I, and together we took turns reading our future state, and now that is saved, and that is my alarm clock every morning. So I listen to that affirmation, and a couple times a day I pull it up and listen to it, but it's basically what we wake up to every day. And we're already ready to start morphing it into the future.
Love it. So how long have you been doing that?
Probably a couple of months now.
Have you seen anything that you're speaking, like, can you see a noticeable difference yet? Or, I mean, sometimes it's a process, but sometimes all of a sudden you're like, I just started talking about this and that happened.
Right. I think the belief builds more as you go through it. You kind of see the bigger vision, the bigger plan. I can say previously I had done a vision board in the past, and lo and behold, the motorcycle I had on there I've owned, and the pickup truck I've had on there I've owned and actually own it now. But the things do come to pass. But as far as that, they were pretty lofty, and it's probably 10 years down the road with some big dreams and goals. But after talking to Rick Billings about his big dream machine, that's one of the things we want to do. And it is getting closer. We're actually talking about it. We've gone and done the dream building day where we've actually, Katrina had never been on one. So we went and spent some time on that. That's powerful.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, sir, for sharing. Greatly appreciate it. And I know Mark was trying one more time. Did it happen or? Nope, because there he is again. Well, the good thing about Mark is he's tenacious. Anybody figure that one out yet? We love tenacity. So who else? Anybody else had an experience where maybe you've written out some things in the past that was very, very vivid and it's come to fruition that you want to share? If you do, just unmute yourself.
Hey, Aaron, it's Lucy.
Yes, ma'am.
So what what I've done too, of course, the exercises and with my group coaching with John and Antoinette as well, it's kind of like talking positive to yourself in the morning and making it come true to fruition. Like, just waking up, me saying, I'm going to speak to Joe, and I know that he's ordered for me before, and it's about the time where he's about ready to get a new bottle of Optimals. And when I give him a call, he's going to be ready, and I'm going to take his credit card down, and he's going to buy, and he's going to purchase. So I would go around all morning saying that over and over and out loud to the universe. And then as soon as I was ready, I was like, okay, I text him, say, hey, I know that and everything that I said, text him, hey, I know that you're about ready to order, do you have some time, to purchase your next set of Optimals? And then they would say, yeah, I'm ready. I'm like, well, actually, I have my computer up right now and I'm ready to put your order in. If you like, it's like, sure, give me a call. Call them, take the information down, boom. And then I did that again with another customer back to back. And I was able to get that order in too. So just kind of waking up, talking about it, and spitting it out to the universe, it actually came true. And I felt confident about it because I kept on saying that over and over and over again.
Love it, love it. Thank you, Lucy, for sharing. And Mark, we got you back. Mark, we've got about 8 more minutes if you want to kind of wrap things up.
Well, Lucy just made my day because if you've ever heard of a guy named Paul J. Meyer, I had an opportunity, it's another day, another story, but I had an opportunity to spend a day with Paul J. Meyer years ago. And Paul J. Meyer started SMI, which is probably the father of all motivational. When you talk about Tony Robbins and everybody, they were all trained by Paul Meyer. And he was one of these great, probably one of the most successful insurance salesmen. I think he averaged between $5 and $20 million a year through his career. Just a very influential guy. And he always told the story that before he walked into any presentation, he would always say to himself, I'm going to go meet with Aaron Decker. And the only reason Aaron's not doing business with me is because he hasn't had an opportunity to meet me yet. And that was his attitude going into everything. And he said it made all the difference. And how he picked up his life from immigrant farmers to where he was today. So I love what you said, Lucy. That's great. I don't know where, Aaron, we got cut off. You were just about to ask me a question about my beginnings, I think.
Yeah, we were just talking about, Mark, just some of those bigger, crazy, like just mega crazy things that were on maybe some of those early lists.
Wow, we could sit and go through this. I've kind of, I laugh at times how now looking back on it, how monumental. I mean, I remember, okay, I grew up, like I say, I had a dream of going and buying a brand new pickup truck off the lot. Now you laugh now, but dude, that was a big deal to me, right? And I remember the day I got to go on the lot and bought a brand new truck. Now I don't necessarily go buy new trucks all the time, but it was a big deal to me to go buy a brand new 4-wheel drive pickup truck off the lot. One of my other really simple goals when we started, because obviously where we were at, one of my dream list, master list, was I wanted to be able to go shopping and not have to worry about how much was in the cart. Okay. And I remember when we started and I thought, wow, okay, we can get one steak and then ramen the rest of the week, or, these veggies and this. And thank goodness for moms and in-laws who invited us to dinner when we were first married. So we actually had good food to eat, right? So those are some little things that you think, wow, that's a big deal. I remember wanting to take the kids to Disneyland, okay, on a trip, and how difficult that was and how it just almost seemed out of reach for a long time. Starting when we started our houseboating, we wanted just to own a timeshare, to be able to have 1 week a year where we could go down there. And then you change and evolve in your dream list where all of a sudden it's one day going, well, why don't I just own a boat with 4 or 5 partners? And I remember sitting on the boat one day going, why don't I just own my own boat? And changing that thought process is amazing how it changes, right? And now my mantra is, people ask me, why do you do this? And I'm like, because I can, right? And it's not an arrogant because I can, it's because I changed my mindset from, no, it's impossible or limitations, to an abundant mindset, which is where we were talking the other day, Aaron, to why not? And people say, well, why do you? Well, because I can. People always ask me, why do you have that giant excavator at your house, right? It's a great big earth mover, a 3-foot bucket on it. And my wife knew when I got it, I would never sell it because I have so much fun with it, right? And people always ask me, why do you have that? And I'm like, because I can, right? And so if you'll change your attitude to that, it becomes an abundant mentality, and you will bless the lives of a lot of people around you. And in so doing, because I believe good people with money do good things. And I believe evil people do evil things, right? So it's not the money that makes you evil. And I grew up thinking anybody with money must be a crook, or, must have taken advantage of a lot of people, must have done, bad things to get there, right? Because that's what I grew up thinking. And it was that scarcity mentality, not the abundant mentality. And so when you look at these things, it should become a game to you. When you're doing this over the next few weeks, make it a game. And over time, it'll be a game. And I'd be happy to follow up with you on it, because I promise you'll struggle. The other thing I'm going to promise you is you won't dream big enough. You have a box around you and you have a window around you, no matter how bad. Everybody I've coached always has these big dreams, and they have this box around them. And then all of a sudden, my son-in-law, when I was coaching him on it, he had this whole dream. And then he sat down with me 3 years later and he went, oh my goodness, I never thought this was even possible. And now he's dreaming bigger. And I just laughed because he remembered, he wrote it down. Mark told me, I will not dream big enough. I will still limit myself. You will limit yourself. You'll limit yourself on your master dream list. I promise you. Okay. People won't put all the big crazy things because you're afraid. We're afraid to fail. We're afraid to look bad. Make this a crazy, crazy dream list. Make your 5-year dream list enough that scares you a little bit. Okay. I was helping Lily Lou in California. Some of you might know Lily. and they're a great couple up in San Francisco. And she broke down in tears. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this, because she just said, I don't know how to dream. I don't know how to put this together. And we had to break it down in steps. Well, guess what? If you haven't noticed, she's title advanced. She's achieving her goals. She's accomplishing things. And now she's celebrating these things and learning how to dream again. And that's really what I want to teach you, is how to dream again. Because once you unlock that, anything's possible. If you're willing to do hard work, if you're willing to put the time in, and you're willing to be on calls like this and learn, and then put that into action, anything's possible. I don't think most people are afraid of work. I think they're afraid of dreaming, and they're afraid of failure. And we can help you with that and make this a game. So that would be my final comments. I look forward to talking to you in a couple weeks. If any of you want me to review some of your stuff, here's my email. It's markw@newage.com or mark@rx.com, either one. Okay. So markw@newage.com or markw@rx.com. And if you want to send me some of your stuff, I'll try to review it through and put your phone number on there. If I have a minute, I'll call you back. And if I don't, I'll give you some critiques. And I'm not doing it because I want to judge you. I'm doing it because if I can help you figure this out in your life, I'll unlock your life like I've unlocked mine. And that's really what I want to do. So, all right.
Love it. Love it. Well, now you've heard from the master of the MasterClass, you guys. And think about that just as we wrap up. You guys, there's 160, 170 people on here, and you've got, yeah, Mark is our president of New Age, but he's just so much more than that. He's somebody that truly has a heart, and he really wants you to win. So much so that he's willing to review and go over. I mean, let's face it, he's got a few things on his plate. Traveling is amongst the least of these, running a $500 million company, doing all these different things. You guys, that in and of itself should get all of us fired up to say, hey, you know what? What I'm going to do is this MasterClass for sure. I'm going to follow through. I'm going to follow through, and I'm going to do the homework, because it doesn't work. I can promise you this. It won't work unless you do the work. And when you start to do the work and you go and you say, hey, I'm going to challenge myself to dream bigger than I've ever dreamed, to write down and be more specific than I've ever done anything in my life to this point. I know that this will have a breakthrough moment for so many of you. And it's not just your business that will grow. It's your relationships. It's your faith. It's all of those things. It's that balance. And that's what I love. And I've loved ever since I've met Mark is one of the most balanced people. He works as hard as he plays. He serves his family. He serves his community. And he's here serving all of you. So Mark Wilson, thank you so much, my friend. Safe travels. To all of you that are brand new to MasterClass, hey, we hope to see you next Wednesday, same time, same Zoom. Everybody have a great rest of your night, and God bless.